I see red lights on my side. So I guess now we're recording.
Uh-huh.
Are we talking directly to our audience, who we assume has some level of audiencing?
I assume that they have some level of audiencing, yes.
Right, well, presumably they have some sort of headset. Hello, viewer!
Hi!
We're hoping we lined you up so that all the stitching error is going to be right here, and both of our faces are going to be kind of lined up.
How do we look? Yeah.
Do we have
Are we
depth?
very 3D?
We should show the camera set up. That!
So this is the camera that we are shooting with. This is you. This was the previous version. There's much more duct tape involved. So there's 2 cameras on the top and 2 on the bottom. And these are the ones that are doing sort of the flat part on the top. And then this ring around the center. Guy's gonna take a selfie of you. So yeah, the ring around the center does the 3D. And it's made out of lots of GoPros. And you can go on our website at lvr.com if you want to learn how to build one, because I put a demo up there. And if you look directly 180 degrees from my face, you will see a GIF of the website.
Okay, I'm gonna come over here and make sure you can actually see yourself with all your happy blinking lights. So when you face me, you get that pair of camera, that stitch around to here. So basically this is creating 2 spheres, and so like what is this? This left eye is gonna be stitched to this part, this left eye for one of the spheres, and then this right eye is going to get stitched over here to this camera's right eye. And so it's stereo around for 360 degrees around, but not on the top or the bottom so much. Because of mathematics.
Because math!
Yeah.
So we decided that we would make a talk show, because what better thing to do in VR than talk about VR? It's so meta! Whoa!
Yeah, I guess we should talk about some of the challenges right now. So I guess the easy thing is you just set up a camera in one spot. Right now you don't have to worry about motion sickness. You're just here chatting with us. We don't have to do fancy graphics or anything because the software isn't so compatible right now.
With fancy graphics.
With doing fancy graphics, right? This is going to get stitched together using one program, distorted using another program. I feel like we should do a quick rundown of hardware, software, headsets, and things. So one of the great reasons to make video is because presumably video is going to be compatible with everything.
Yes.
Right? We don't have to worry about, oh, this is a game that's only going to be available for one platform, and then if that platform goes evil, which, why would any platform go evil? But if, for, some vague speculation.
Like maybe Facebook bought one of them or something.
No, that would never happen.
I don't know, but this is where I'm going to mess my makeup up. Yeah!
Oh, and then we have to have a segment on Oculus compatible fashion, hair and makeup. We need to get in a professional for that. Mm-hmm. We'll have Oculus. That'll be a segment. It'll be the format of the show.
Tweet us your segment ideas for segments.
All right, so this is the DK1, which you could put googly eyes on. The DK2, which we do not have any in the office right now.
Later.
We did last week and we will next week, but we don't at the moment. The DK2 has IR sensors, so the googly eyes would get in the way of that.
So this first version essentially just lets you look around the center of a sphere, but the new DK2 has an IR tracker that is like a little camera that looks at you, so you can do things like, instead of just turning your head, you can like look over something, or like sort of zoom in on something by leaning into it and like focusing on what you're looking at, but you can't do any of that with the previous version.
Right, which is a problem for film. Also, I'm noticing you're so good at talking to the camera, because you actually vlog all the time.
I do,
used to this idea of like, hello audience, I'm talking to you. I'm wondering if we cleaned the lenses before we started.
I thought I wiped them. They always look smudgy. No matter what you do to them, the camera always looks smudgy.
It's okay, because we're assuming that the lenses on your DK2, which maybe you're watching this with, are also smudgy and scratched, so it'll make up for itself.
Yeah, so if you've already scratched the lenses on your DK2, we feel your pain, and we just wanted to make sure you felt included, so we made sure that it was smudgy.
Mm-hmm. Now the worst is when one eye is smudgy and one isn't, because
you're like, oh my god, smudges in 3D.
Right. But for film, back to the DK2 thing.
Yes.
Right, because when you only have head tracking, which the Oculus has, do we have a cardboard? I know we have a cardboard in here.
It's in that box underneath the desk.
Oh, look, you can still see me. I'm still on camera.
I know, it's so
this
fancy,
is not
right?
Oh, there we go, okay. Okay.
This is a cardboard.
So the DK1 only has what do you call that kind of head tracking? Rotational,
Yeah.
positional. It doesn't have
It doesn't have
the other kind.
leaning
head tracking. So
These are very technical words.
right. So if you have a device like this or like this, basically it has relative tracking.
Yeah, it has like a
no
gyroscope
idea.
in
It doesn't know where it is or what it's doing except for relative to itself as it moves around. So this is the Google Cardboard. You strap in your phone, and then you go like that. And you can see through the lenses. So basically, your resolution is going to be the resolution of your phone screen, which actually this version of this phone is incompatible because Verizon decided just not to update Android ever again for this model of phone.
Although one problem I find with the Cardboard is the lenses just don't fit my face that well. You have to have like a particular face size to get the Cardboard to work like just perfectly for you.
Yeah, this is also kind of a problem with all of these devices, but hopefully, I mean, you can adjust these things in software and hardware to some degree.
Are we allowed to talk about Wearality?
Yeah, we can talk about Wearality.
So Wearality is another startup that's coming out with hardware headsets in the next, like 8
By the end of the
months?
year.
By the end of the year. Like everyone says, by the end of the year. And they have a very wide field of view. So that's one of the headsets I have found that it fits a lot of different people's faces very well. We did notice last time when we used the prototype that the 3D has to be adjusted a lot more in that headset though, but that's in the software side, so that's a little easier to adjust for than like Cardboard where the lens is just, if that isn't the size of your face, then you are out of luck.
Yeah. Although in theory, I mean, it's made out of cardboard. You can construct your own model where you have it fit exactly to your face.
That's true.
Hopefully, the Oculus will have some adjustments because the interpupillary distance for people, it varies by like a few centimeters.
Yeah.
It's significant. Although we found in our tests that like it doesn't matter you can change the distance a little bit and your eyes can compensate, but it's an eye strain, and the longer you stay in there, the more an eye strain it is. And
yeah. Another thing that I noticed about the Wearality helmet, or what are we calling them? Helmets, I guess. Headsets that I liked a lot is that the lenses curve away from your eyes. So a lot of us who wear glasses or have long eyelashes, you'll notice when you're wearing the Oculus that like it touches your eye in a creepy, horrible way. But their lenses, it's just a simple thing, but yeah, they don't touch your face at all, which makes it feel a lot more comfortable.
Right, whenever I'm putting on the Oculus, I'm like smashing my eyes into the lens, which smudges them, and then you have to take it off and clean the lens, which of course scratches the lens, and then you put it back on your eyelashes.
Yes.
Right? These were designed by people without eyelashes.
Yes, I agree. Who don't have girl hair and who do not have long eyelashes.
Yeah, and who don't wear makeup, which I guess I don't either, but it's, right, a lot of, so, okay, Morpheus, does that have this kind of...
No. So Morpheus has like a, like a bike helmet thing where you like tighten it to your head, and then the headset itself sort of like hovers in front of your face. And they've done some sort of weird black magic where it like has a lot of airflow inside of the mask, so it doesn't actually feel, it's not touching your skin really. Like you can feel it on your face, but there's a lot of air, and it doesn't have this like ski goggle effect where you like sweat and fog up the whole inside of the mask constantly.
Right, it's like you don't want to use that after the sweaty person uses it.
Yes, exactly. The Morpheus doesn't have that problem.
But that means you each have to buy your own.
That's true.
No sharing.
No sharing, because that would eat into profit margins.
But with Morpheus, is there like light leakage? Does that take away from the
I
immersion?
didn't notice any light leakage, but I was doing it in a booth at GDC, so it was like in a set-up environment. It was kind of like dimly lit.
I actually really know. Is my hair gonna brush my mic? These are all things I never think about because I never do on-camera stuff.
I've never used a lapel mic before, so now I'm worried about like crushing it with my hand accidentally.
Right. I've only used it in like live situations where you can hear the feedback from yourself live and don't have to worry that maybe it's off the whole time. You know, like giving a talk or something where it's just
That's true.
you're hearing it.
They'll fix it you can't fix it later. Like people are
Right.
listening.
Right, you can tell when like it's exactly right, or you're saying like all your P's, and every time you say P, it's like poof. And you hear that live, and you're like, oh, I have to start saying my P's over here, and be like, oh, this project we're working on.
Project.
Yeah. That is seriously what it's like sometimes. So Morpheus also has positional IR, like, you know, all that.
Yeah, it does
stuff.
also have like a forward-facing camera that tracks you. They also had we were using the PlayStation Move controllers, which is the weird ones that have like the big ice cream ball lights on the top. And they were fine, and they definitely felt better than using just a PlayStation Move controller without a headset on, because you can't actually see how ridiculously you look. But there was a lot of sort of like interference.
Like with the DK2, yeah, the positional head tracking is just so convincing.
Yeah.
This is kind of the crisis we're having right now, because with regular film, even with stereo film, you just can't get that. And the question is that a novelty? Do we really like that? Is that going to be good for games? But sometimes for video, you just don't really care. You're happy to sit and watch regular stereo where you move your head, and you can't actually move your head around things.
Because like, what is the user experience that you want? Like, some things, you know, there's a lean backness to video where you don't have to actively do something the entire time. Something can just be displayed for you and you can watch it. And with this video, you can have a little bit of head motion and like look around if you want, but you're not forced to, you know, like do all of this crazy action with your head just because it's possible to do that in games with the new IR tracking or.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a split coming between the passive and active side of things.
Yes.
Because not everything needs to be active all the time. It's
Yeah.
not like everyone wants every sort of interactivity. I call it the let's play effect, where sometimes you want to play a game and you want every peripheral and every interactivity and it's as real as possible. But sometimes you want to actually sit back and absorb.
And like different content is like better in those different situations. I don't want like every YouTube video I ever watch, I have to like actively be doing something like while I watch the video. I would like something to be more relaxing or.
People like watching movies and watching people and watching things, especially when you have presence and you feel, dear viewer, like you are right in front of us right now joining our conversation because
Do you feel like you're here?
We value your input. We should actually, like, do we have audience input? Do they email us? Do we care what they say?
They should follow us on Twitter.
Oh yeah, they can follow us on Twitter.
Twitter is a really great place to give us feedback on this kind of thing, because that is where we are.
Yes, at the moment, until it does something to make me mad. I don't know, all the things are going evil.
What is Twitter gonna do to make you mad?
I don't know, they started having like weird ads sometimes, and they will straight up lie to you. They'll be like, your friend is following Britney Spears. Why don't you follow Britney Spears? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, that should be slander. Like, you're saying that about that particular person. That's a thing. This is not a thing about Twitter. Right, so if you can only look around, where video is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Because you can't, with just straight up video, if you're having like a video file that you watch somehow, you can't have this side-to-side motion or actual 3D. You need to have things being rendered.
Because there's no rendered
live.
environment. Like, we can move the camera, but without a rendered environment, there's no way to have you change your position inside of it without you being here, like physically moving the camera every time you want to lean over.
Yeah, all the work that makes it seem 3D, if it seems 3D right now to you, is happening in your brain. Like, your brain's doing all the computation, all the work. The computer has no idea. It doesn't know.
Yeah.
So it does seem, though, some people are working on that, right? If you had a full camera ball where you're getting a lot of information, then in theory, you could be building a point cloud of the world around you, and you could make a 3D model of the world around you. And yeah, even with this much information in theory, just the software it's not there.
No. And I feel like even then, like, that's not strictly video anymore. Like, that is a rendered environment. Like, you're making a rendered reconstruction, as opposed to just taking like capture. But we have been playing some recently, especially in Unity, with mixing capture with rendered, like 3D rendered environments, and putting captured environments inside of them and like seeing how they can interact. without having to have like what we would consider like a faithful reproduction. Like if you took a scan of this room and then let the person walk around inside this room, like can you mix captured environments with things that are, you know, like blank environments or like game environments or game maps that you would like walk into and then there would be video in them or things like that?
I don't know how far we are from that. I'm actually hoping that this will be a big push towards getting the software to the point where you can just take video of a place, triangulate all the points, and get a good point cloud. Like I think Jaunt, I don't have any secret inside information about what they're doing in terms of that, but from what they've said, they're working on these camera balls that right now are going to output a stereo pair of videos like we are, but I think they have mentioned in like posts and places that they are trying to get all the information they would need to make an actual 3D model of the world, and maybe they have enough funding. I'm hoping that they're going to work on that side of things.
If you guys haven't heard of Jaunt, you should look them up. They're a production company in the Bay Area that's also working on stereo VR video. They're actually shooting, I think it's a Civil War film. It might be World War II, something like that. They're shooting like
some sort of war film.
A film
it's
right
a short
now.
film. I think they're aiming for 10 minutes, and it's war stuff. I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
You're gonna have explosions, and you're gonna be immersed in
battles or something.
Right. It's gonna be just like one of the many video games coming out.
Yeah.
Immersed in real explosions. So pretty much everything that exists in VR film, there's a lot of spherical that is flat, and then there's a lot of stereo that is like this is, this will probably be more lazily stitched than some of the good stuff. So Jaunt has some stuff with pretty good stitching. Yeah, they have like the nice holders, so all their cameras are the same every time, and they seem to have a good workflow, maybe. I haven't actually used it, but...
No, it's proprietary.
It's proprietary. This is a problem with everybody, except for us. But stereo around and then flat up and down, which you don't have to have it be that way.
No, with enough image interpolation, we could have perfect 3D in every direction, but then we'd have to be stitching live using computers that most people who even have headsets now are not going to own.
There is that, but there's also that even with non-live stitching, even with a stereo pair of videos, you don't have to, you could choose a different set of where things look stereo than 360 and then flat top and bottom. You could kind of warp all the flat to one point instead and have, if you had a forward-facing direction and you wanted like the back of your head to be where the 3D was bad, you could pick some other range of motion where maybe looking up like this is fine and looking down like this is also fine. And by fine, I mean in actual perfect stereo, which right now we don't have, but we could. We could make something where all this would be stereo, and then as you turn your head towards the back, it's not going to work. And if you went like that, it wouldn't work. Or if you went like that instead of like this, it wouldn't work. Right.
I do know that like Total Cinema 360, who do, they're another video production company. They're out of New York. They do 2D spheres, and then they composite like green screened objects into, you know, a bit larger 2D environments, spherical environments, and things like that. But I think that for the moment at least, they're not working on 3D, trying to solve the problem of like making it all 3D, just trying to solve the problem of like making beautiful composites and things like that.
Yeah, 3D is tricky, and it's unclear how necessary it is.
I mean, it is beautiful, like I do like the effect, but it's also, I feel like more of an eye strain than watching just a 2D video in VR.
Especially if you're going to be doing any of that. Head tilt.
I don't know, we're shooting in this in 3D, maybe we should be shooting it in 2D. I'm not sure.
It would be easier to work with if this were 2D. Well, we're doing both at once. We're not actually filming in 3D, we're filming in stereoscopic vision, which most people say 3D for a 3D movie, but it's not actually. It's not actually 3D. It's a long way from 3D. Can you compile all of the information here into an actual 3D model of this room? Your brain can obviously figure it out. So if our brain can do it, you'd think software could theoretically do it. We just need to have software that's as smart as our brains. And our eyes get fooled all the time. We know how easily tricked our eyes are, but I feel like I have a good sense. If I were a computer, I'm looking around and coming up with a realistic 3D model of this space just off of what I'm seeing from this limited range of view.
But I do feel like we're leaning slightly, like, I get a much better...
A bit of parallax.
Yeah, I get a much better sense of the room size and shape with a mild quantity of parallax.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just need to have you just need to like swing the camera around while the computer learns what the room looks like.
Yeah, well this is why cameras go on tracks. So in a normal flat film, there's so much the camera slowly moves along the track, and that gives you much more 3D information than a still camera in stereo.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much more information. A piece of film where you're looking at a static room and the camera's on a track is actually more 3D than a so-called 3D film, which is just a stereo pair looking at a room. Right? Instead of just seeing this eye and this eye, when you're on a track, you're seeing that eye's view and then everything in between and that eye's view, and you're seeing even more. Yeah, which is actually, you get a good convincing 3D, if not 3D effect. I mean, it is 3D. That's one of the ways our brains get 3D information is from parallax and motion.
Mm-hmm.
So things like Google Street Demo, where it's basically Google Street View. It has a spherical camera, right? And there's a demo where
you're like
go
going
along
through Paris.
and you can
yeah. So it's very quick, so it because you never see any one spot long enough to like really examine whether or not it's in 3D. It sort of tricks you into seeing the buildings and the trees and everything as 3D because you're going by so quickly. You don't get a chance to.
You get all that parallax information. It's just about information. So your brain gets the same information. It gets more information than you would just standing still.
Yeah.
There's other demos. That was Street View in Paris. There's also the short film. It's a spherical film. Is it called In Paris? The one with really nice stitching most of the time. Yeah, so they have, and there's also other demos, films where you're flying through the mountains on a skydiver or driving on a race car, which is lots of fun because you're driving in the race car and everything's moving by you, so you get 3D information. One of the things about non-do technology where it's not so good for video yet, but it's also you need an outside tracking, which will exist for the DK2 and for Project Morpheus. For Google Cardboard, for anything that's like you put your phone in it, which is going to include the Cardboard, Wearality.
Those will be more video focused.
Yeah, video is going to be perfect. You don't need to render it in real time.
Yeah.
It's presents. Ready for creepy presents time?
Whoa.
Creepy presents time.
Creepy.
Yeah, a little creepy. Let's turn it off.